I've been interviewing Scrappy for probably about 7 or 8 years now. Well, one of the interviews that I found really interesting was that he had talked about growing up with you and said that you actually were a madam and had like a whole group of girls that you were, making money off of.
That is correct. Um, Years ago, I went and got my bachelor's degree in science, and I was an RN for many years. And unfortunately, in '96, a 7-year-old boy hit me head on. Um, it disabled me. I couldn't walk for 3 years, and unfortunately, my family didn't even boil a pot of water for us. My mother didn't like my husband that I was married to at the time because of the drug dealing, and she didn't come over to do anything. Don't like the son-in-law, don't do for your daughter. But that's not how I do my kids. In regards to I like their mates or not, I'm going to be there for my kids 100%. However, um, I did things that was unlawful. I was a madam and a drug dealer. That is something that I don't brag about, but just to let the people know that it's just my walk in life because we all have a past, and I'm not ashamed of it because it took that to make the woman that the world sees today.
What do you think was the craziest situation that you went through during that time in your life?
A high-speed chase that I just purchased 2 keys of cocaine, and the Red Dogs of Fulton County got in behind me, and I was doing 110, I think. Car flipped, I crushed my ribs. But another thing was when I woke up at Grady on a gurney, handcuffed, I didn't get charged with 2 keys. So I wonder where it went.
You think the police had something to do with that?
I know they did. Zone 3 has always been dirty. Shouts out to Zone 3 for not charging me with that.
Watching Love and Hip Hop and watching your relationship with Scrappy, I think even Scrappy mentioned on the show, and he's like, you're my mom, I'm not your man. And sometimes it almost seems like it's that type of relationship.
I beg to differ. If people knew what I was going through and what I went through as a child in the home that I was raised in, they will understand why that me and both of my kids, because I have 2 kids. I have Scrappy and I have a daughter, Jasmine. Scrappy is 30, Jasmine is 27. When you were beaten and abused physically by a stepfather and your mother allowed it, and of course he beat her, you tend to raise your kids a lot different, not a little different, a lot different. So I incorporated us being very close in that I never allowed a man to come before my kids. So that's where you see the camaraderie of it all. That, we are steadfast and unremovable within the bond that we live in.
One of the things that really stands out on the show is the whole, king, queen, palace, that type of thing. And I interviewed Scrappy about it, and Scrappy said he doesn't really understand it. So, can you explain that whole thing yourself?
Well, it goes like this. As a child, I was treated as a peasant. I mean, I got a picture at my mother's sister's house of me with tennis shoes on with the toes cut out. But when I look at my baby sister and see that she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, I compare myself to Cinderella. And the word is, I was once a peasant, but now I'm a queen.
How long do you think that you've been using that type of terminology?
For a very long time, because I had to come to love myself, understand who I am in Christ Jesus, and understand my growth in that just because there are dark tunnels in everybody's lives, if you keep trusting in God and you keep believing and you keep the faith, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. It's always a light. You just have to keep faith.